Come here. First, and go here. Yeah, now YouTube is going on, and this is on now.
What was it? I think it's easy.
Usually.
And do we have soap?
Yes.
I need to fill up this. This one is extra. So maybe wherever we want. Right beside the kitchen, or in toilet, or basement.
Yeah.
언제 쌤? 쏜삼면 하면 좋다. 나세요. 뭐로 이렇게? Annie,
Yes.
open the behind door or that window.
Yeah, the window's open.
Okay.
Would you like me to open the other windows?
Other window where?
This one.
Open this one.
Come
Ah, 네. 아, 컴퓨터에 현재가 있거든. 그거를 정말 가장 좀 되네. 아, 이 감제 내용이 되냐 되는 거는 네, 벌써 좋죠. 주셔야 돼. 이사는 아야 나 영주 제일이야. 아. 네. Okay. Can you hear me? Everybody hearing properly? Just type yes or no. Okay, good. Okay, so we begin with the prayer to Manjushri. Lama dangumbo jambo yang la en chanzo lo pange lo jimyen chinda nitara namda rasa jinyen dengun jijin zichir niji tukara likam zen kanda zip Tendora mari mintum dungalan jizrewe dozo kunla puji tarzi yenla juju yonden zon rudara chedro nyumo nyino leji chadro ndoze jim mari menze dunga nyungu jinyen junze rode nam dene najin saju tarzi Yenden lizo jase tuwe ko chudan chudan chunyin jende dale menzen jambe yangla de Umara bazana 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 de Arapazana Deo Marapazana 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 Deo Arapazana Deo Marapazana 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 Deo Umara Bhajana Deo Mara Bhajana Deo Mara Bhajana Deo Mara Bhajana Deo Mara Bhajana Umara Bhajana De 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 Zeden Chiji Chenda Vizriji Dale Demon Baraza Kadan Denji Shunlu Tobai Loje Bobi Nawa Sandu So Palo jinji jinja beja jindu jima me bala goera do de de bozongo vajimi wane chanza shinja zuchiu shiwa nen serap tamji do tu ji ji su zimbaranza do su pangi shazanda ye mingom gesar zime nondash sembe zive zendu barvendu gun me gendu zinjuru do je dama kune shiren ji tensum ji konja be kuambe magar beja be terin dale yenzuru shon Zolen be men dombo zere njewe namdo ranjun njendu zendu be je den chombarwe Pema Junen Dale in Zurujon. Bumbolo Juarian Devada, Tome Nyen Cholan Jujita, Jujun Janan Baozo, Zanlin Jenchu Nanje Daejon. Pari Deva Rinje Nimbe Golo, and then Ganjamba Veshazardo, Nimbi Denzi Baby Nanjaraba. Jime Vezre Jabje Daejon, Ridon Jamba Junu Jinole, Bumbelon Lepo Peter Jedro, Lundo Jinzen Jamzen Moanjur, Mibam Jambi Yanji Daejon. Pangi Dala Riba Lobadan, Doji Denje Menga Nolazo, Labazada, Wangurushin Lambi, Muji Tinchen Lame Daejon, Namo Guru, Chinim Pamendenje, Jezala Kunjaranjun, Duje Jimbetin, Duje Galaga Mendanawa. Palden Lami Jabjin Daejon. Inde Sanje Kundanyo Naya, Kadin Sanje Kunel Habikan, Savi Lami Shala Suande, Bazon Rove Lamnan Chelanjur, Onda Jujur Dongi Jidena, Dejela Marjur Bakan Soda, Indridam Biju Jinchar Bebe, Sember Devata Dandirjeje, Namaria Tamba, Laiketan Ludani Jinge, and Runda Dame Kenamda, Dua Gunjitanam Jizambar. Tamje gedo sosoro te jurji. Manjurando ananka danyam besim jen tamje. Siba kamsum korvi dunga junje nile tolde. Tanyi la mineba. Zobi sanji jibukhan rimbo chelan. Chini jambo parasha. Ei chedu. Pegwa chimbe shunglo. Jazi chimbo shewalha. Tini jitsebe. Chanju simbi cheba la juba. Tini sulshindo sene. Nyamsu longwa yu. Samba chanju chodo. Tude badan chede sene chalo. So, first we need to generate this awakened mind in this way. For all the sentient beings equal to the space and having a same sense how we have to our dearest one, like a mother towards mother, and same that sense try to spread it out each and every individual who ever exists in this universe, and then generate the willing to free them from this cyclic existence and its cause, which is karma and afflictive emotions, and then to lead them to complete enlightenment. For that purpose, I'm going to listening this Mahayana scripture composed by Shantideva called Way of Bodhisattva's Life. And then I'm going to implement it with that kind of intention and listen this Dharma teaching, as well as manner or the conduct while listening Dharma teaching should be kind of like a listen carefully in an excellent way and then try to hold it and prepare oneself through with a very gently and softly in this way. When we prepared ourselves in this way, then we kind of like a complete the preliminary of engaging into meritorious activity of teaching and listening Dharma. And then after that, the actual that now at the moment we need to focus on the voice of the teaching and then the word of the teaching and then the meaning of the teaching. So try to kind of like a convince one's own mind and ear to completely observe and lost within it. And that's our actual activities within this 1 and 45 minutes, 1 hour and 45 minutes. And that's the actual. And then at the end, dedications. And when we complete our actions with these 3 stages or with these 3 condition or the order, then our this
activities becomes cause of enlightenment, which can fulfill our purpose, that when we generate the bodhicitta, how we wishing, and in order to achieve that wish, fulfill that wish, and we need to have all these causes and conditions combined. And this way, that when we complete this three order or the three conditions until the end of this teaching activity, and then that's how it becomes causes and conditions to fulfill our purpose of generating bodhicitta. And then now the actual Dharma teaching that which we are studying, this Mahayana scriptures composed by Shantideva, The Way of Bodhisattva's Life, which has a 10th chapter and 4 main themes. The first 3 is instructing us how to generate bodhicitta and how to receive bodhisattva's vow. And then the second theme is 4th, 5th, 6th, these 3 chapters, and how to maintain after receive this bodhisattva's vow, how to not to lose or transgress this bodhicitta and bodhisattva's vow in order to maintain what we need, what our requirement. And then the third subject is not just maintain, but also to further improve or develop, and until it reached to its destiny. And then the last, which is shown by 7, 8, and 9 chapter. And then the last one, when we reach to that destiny, whatever we studied or practiced, implemented, or reached to that stage, all this meritorious activity or the merits we are dedicating. That's the last chapter, the 10th chapter. That's the main theme. So among this 4 theme out of this 10th chapter, so we are here in the second theme of 6th chapter, that in order to maintain, not to transgress this our bodhisattva's vow, what requirement is the sense of carefulness with the understanding of precepts, how it will going to lose, how it will going to transgress, how we will going to lose bodhicitta. And then that in a careful, the kind of like a chapter 4, that carefulness describes these precepts and then how to be care with it. And then additional, and then what other things are required is the diligent, not the diligent, what is that? Not the diligent, what is that? Introspection and vigilant, yeah. Vigilant and introspection. And then the next one is the patient. So the patient, these 3 things required in order to maintain properly bodhisattva's vow and not to lose this bodhicitta from within oneself. So then this kind of like a, with this all teachings also kind of like a the providing the skills or methods that how to kind of like a subside or press our emotion, and then not just subside and press, but also at the end how to eliminate this whole complete antidote or whole complete method skills. It's provided within these scriptures. So kind of like a studying kind of like this kind of teachings itself, it's naturally merit. And beside that, and studying this kind of teachings, get lots of idea to how to deal with our emotion day-to-day life. When anger arises, how to deal. When kind of like a attachment arises, how to deal. And when jealous arises, how to deal. When pride arises, how to deal. And when ignorant arises, how to deal. How to be aware So this kind of all the methods, it's provided within these scriptures anyway. So, okay, so there are main three requirements in order to not to transgress our bodhisattva's vow, and then two of them we complete. And today we are in the third one, which is this patience. Patience is very much required in order to maintain bodhisattva's vow. Yes. And not only that, but patience is also a requirement to live a successful and peaceful and happy life too. Because this short temper disturbs our mind in a very effective way. It is not just a little bit disturbing, even it disturbs our sleep, and even it disturbs our mood, kind of like just one word or one gaze, and then you will going to be lost yourself. You don't know who you are. You completely change. You completely transform into somebody else, which means you become evil immediately within one moment, and it makes, you see, that's how this anger emotion kind of like not just for the bodhisattva's vow to maintain, but also for the day-to-day life, our life, how to live in a very meaningful life and happy life, and which is also very much relevant, very much needed. And therefore, so mainly Shantideva here providing the skills, methods to how to practice patience, main focus on how to not lose our bodhicitta and how to not transgress our bodhisattva's vow. But at the same time, this is also works for our day-to-day life too. So that's what we need to understand. So this is very important chapter that everybody needed, whoever wants to live happy. And then if someone doesn't want to live happy, peaceful life, meaningful life, then forget it. Then no need it. But I don't believe there are somebody who wants that. Even that we used to say in Tibetan, Choma migme devi tuendu juk. You see, what does it mean? That Choma is that insect which doesn't have an eye, right? That insects cannot see. That some insects, very small one, the black one, and the black insects, they doesn't have really eye. But even though they are blind, but still they cherish, they run for happiness. That we have saying in Tibetan. So that which means even this insects blind, cherishing, running after peace, oh, rest of other beings goes without saying. That's what it means. And then if anyone doesn't care about it, then I don't really know. Then this Tibetan way of saying is failed. Anyway, so the patient, anyway, so the main point is patient, which is very much kind of like a needed in our within our day-to-day life. And then also, yes, very much needed for the not to transgress our bodhisattva vow. No question that when we arise anger, as I told you earlier one time, that as soon as we generate anger, at the same time, what we really generating mind, that giving up benefiting that particular person who is creating anger towards oneself, isn't it? So when we give up benefiting, willing to benefit that person, then lost it, bodhicitta. This is just very simple. We lost it. We failed our purpose of kind of like a life. So therefore, kind of like the patient is very much needed anyway. And then how to have a patient, and then within this 6th chapter. So firstly, introducing the faults of anger, because the opposite of the patience is anger. So in order to practice patience, we need to understand the exact, the kind of like a, the, how to say, the patience and anger is like an antidote each other. When someone is anger, no patience. When someone patient, no anger. It kills each other, right? The anger and patience cannot be remain in one point. It has to stay either one, not both. It is impossible to stay both in the same stage of mind. So therefore, so in order to practice patience, first what we need to understand is the opposite of the anger, which is patience, which is exactly destroying our patience, which is anger. And then therefore this chapter begins with the introducing the faults of anger, what it really can destroy it, our kind of like a, for the future of our, and then for the this within this life, how this anger can really disturbs. And that means the, in short, the faults of anger. Then after that, and then introducing, okay, so opposite of anger is patience. You need to practice patience. And then in order to practice patience, what you really need is first you need to understand those circumstances or those situations when we occur, when I occur, and those are the very condition which makes me anger, which are kind of like a the pain, humiliation, insult, rebuke in chapter the stanza 11, right? So these are the four main circumstances when occur to me, I become short tempered. Then I get anger for it. So in order to practice patience, Shantideva providing those conditions which makes you anger. First, we need to understand these situations or circumstances. And then after that, then it is now actual how to implement, how to practice patience. Then it is provided based on a, first it begins with a based on a self, based on a self, when these four circumstances occur to myself and how to deal with it, how to practice patience. And that mainly this 3 point, three categories. The first, that patience of undertaking the pain, right? And then among the four circumstances that Shantideva talks, they elaborate on first circumstances, which is pain, which is the most hardest or difficultiest among the four circumstances, because it hurts both mentally and physically. Therefore, if anyone able to deal with it, and then the rest of other three is not that difficult to deal. The first one is the most difficult to deal with it. Therefore, Shantideva talks elaborate on the first circumstances when it occurs to oneself, how to deal and how to not to lose patience. For that, then he mainly provided these three categories, three main keys, which is the patience of undertaking this pain, and then the patience of certainty in dharma, and then patience of not caring about harmers. And then each of this main key has within that many skills are provided, isn't it? So, and that kind of like a for instance, the before during the kind of like a, what is that? The patience of not caring about harmers. One skill what Shantideva provided us is you should understand the others kind of like their kind of like uh, their behavior to themselves. That's the one skill, one method he provided, that he said, even though they harm themselves, which they love most, if so, how it is possible that they will not going to harm to me? Think about it. That's one skill, one method he gave, right? So therefore, think in this way, be a little the open mind, or kind of like a brighter mind, and then accept it rather than rejecting and kind of like a making agitation oneself. So that kind of things, he provided many ideas. And then also this the patient of certainty in Dharma, within that mainly two ideas, right? The based on the how to say, based on a person who have the view of believing in causes and conditions are providing result, and the another way, just saying not believing in causes and condition, but the just God. Anyways, this is so funny though, not funny, funny though. One way I want to share this one with you, that you see, even though persons who believe, who have this strong view and strong belief that everything was created by God. But funny thing is, we are unable to accept that when someone really harmed you. Then you are not blaming on God. You are blaming on that particular person who is really harming. You are not forgiving to him. Actually, if everything is created by God, then this person who harmed you, you need to forgive that person, because this, whatever you got harm, it's created by God, not the person. Why are you getting anger to that person? So even what I am saying is that sometimes it's very funny. Even those persons who have this very strong view that everything is created by God, but some situation they excluding, then that really not becomes everything then. It is very funny. This year, that when I was in Ethiopia, I talked with this person who's old. He's old person, and he's very strong belief in Christian. Oh, God created everything there. He doesn't have even doubt about it. It seems like the way he talk. Okay, and then we conversate a little bit, and then I just let it be, that because he have this so confident and belief is strong, and then I don't just, but he again and again, some occasionally accordance to situation, then he talks about this little bit everywhere. Oh, because God this created, we are happy, we are blah blah blah. He's kind of like time to time he's reminding that. And then one time we both driving in the Addis Ababa, in the town, and then one beggar came and baked it to us. And then he said at that time, this beggar is, actually he is truth. That beggar is, all the faculties are very in a good shape. No problems. He can work, he can get job and earn money. And then when he saw that the fit person begging something, and then he said immediately, why this begging? She should work, blah, 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 blah. And then I said, no, maybe he's sent by God to us to beg. And then he couldn't accept at that time, he rejected. No, God didn't create him to poor as a beg. And then I said, isn't it everything created by God? and then somehow He doesn't really have answer, but I didn't just dig further. I just left it there, and then we changed our topic and conversations, la la la, and then just gone. Sometimes this is so funny, you know. And then similar here, when somebody creates anger to myself, if I am the person who is carrying that strong view, everything is created by God, then I should not anger to that person. It is completely forbidden, isn't it? That's not his fault. He cannot do nothing. He is all controlled by someone else, which so far called God. He doesn't have control. Why? It is not relevant to get anger to that person either. Anyway, so however, whether we believe in God or whether we believe in causes and conditions, either way, anger is not relevant at all. That's what Shantideva means. Regardless who you are, angry is unacceptable. Angry is useless. That's what main message is here. Anyway, so now go to the this topic, and then but within that first, that when among the four circumstances, the first one, the pain when occurs to oneself and how to deal with it, mainly he shows these three things, right? So this is the main idea or the method how to practice patience. Actually, the main theme of this chapter is completed with this 3 points. And then yesterday we completed also that, and then rest of the other 3 remain circumstances when it occurs to oneself and how to be a practice patient. And with that, these are not so difficult. This is so, some of those advice are very common advice every human gives, right? The first advice that which Shantideva provided. It's very common advice, because saying the word doesn't have any error, so why are you making big deal out of it? So that kind of things. He's also using that same method, same skills. And then now today from here, now this 4 circumstances from this stanza 64 to stanza 75, which means almost 12 stanza, isn't it? Almost this 12 stanza, what it really talks about is, after completing how to practice patience when these 4 types of circumstances happens to oneself. Now, the same 4 circumstances, when it occurs to one's relative, at that time, how we should think, how we should react, how to practice patience. And this is the main subject it's talking from here, stanza 64 to stanza 75, almost 12 stanza, isn't it? And that's the main, so keep that in your mind. From now to the 75 stanza, this is what Shantideva really talking about. So how he is talking about it, how to deal with it. And then let's see, we'll watch, we'll see how he's saying it. And then the first one here, the 64 stanza. Kusuk cheten tamchela chalshin jibar cheba lang dagi shedang mirikte sanje sogla nemingas. That's one. And then another stanza can go together with it. Lama nyenla sogba dang shela neba chenam lang ngami tsulji ken dagle gyurwar thone chowa dos. This 2 stanza provides the one method. The first method, let's say. But this method is not really different though, different than above, before. Okay, now let me explain. Read this translation. That even those who vilify, is it vilify? even those who vilify and undermine the sacred doctrine, images, and stupas. And those are not proper object for our anger. Because Buddhas are themselves untouched thereby. So that's how they translate it. Okay, anyway, so the what meaning is that now this is something religious person, to advise to religious person. This is very relevant with the religious person who have already background some religious. Yes, definitely the religious persons get short temper and anger when someone does these things. When someone destroy their object of statues or worship place or what to say, images of their god or their precious substance, when someone neglected those and when someone kind of like a scorn those, right? When someone scorn those, and when someone destroy, absolutely, even worse, even tiny, when someone just ignore, we feel little, this guy doesn't know anything. We immediately in the kind of like arise that kind of in the mind, isn't it? But compassion is okay though here. When you see that type of things, and if you feel compassion, oh, okay, so he's ignored, he doesn't know about it, the value of all these things, therefore he's neglecting, therefore he's ignoring, therefore he's scorning, therefore destroying. Arising compassion when you see this kind of things, that's fine, that's very worth, it's better, but not anger. Normally we think it is deserved, okay to anger towards those type of person who is doing to kind of like towards these things, stupas or statues or images of the god, statues of the god, and then the temple and churches, where the worship place, and according to the Muslim, what do you call it? No, the Muslim temple, mosque. Yeah, mosque. If someone there, it is actually happened within our life, within this world. Many Buddhist temples are destroyed and burned by some others. Likewise, Christian. Likewise, Muslim. The Muslim temples, Muslim mosque. No, they don't call temple, right? The mosque. Some of the mosques are kind of like a burn it, destroy it. It's happening still today, not just, this is not really far, still happening. And then when those things happen, based on a mundane view, accordance with our normal lay view, we think, yeah, they deserve to get anger towards those. And they are right to get anger. This is what normally we think. But here what Shantideva was really saying is that these are not the proper object of our anger. You see, instead of anger, we should generate compassion if possible, or loving kindness if possible. If we cannot generate those mind, loving kindness and compassion, at least not to generate anger and be in a neutral. Being neutral is the one of the most skillful, which doesn't really have a much positive effect, but there's no danger, there's no risk, there's no loss at all. So therefore, I always saying, whatever situations, there are always has a three ways to think, not black, just black and white. There's another color too. Likewise, whatever the situation, either I have to support or I have to destroy. It's not like that. There's a blue, right? Another color, neutral. At least if you are unable to support, just let it be. Letting it be in a neutral doesn't cause anything, doesn't create any problem either. See? So anyhow, so the point here, what Shantideva said, this advice related with the all kinds of religious now, regardless who you are, Hindu or Jain or Muslim, Christian, Jew, Buddhist, no matter what kind of religions are there. This advice goes. And why Shantideva saying it's because the genuine, true those Buddhas, you cannot harm at all. But what you are thinking that you are harming, destroying those statues and stupas and images, these are just material. That's what he's saying. These are just material. Why are you taking so big deal out of it? And likewise, next stanza. And even if our teacher, they translate it into this way. This is, I think, maybe they should say, and also to our teacher, and also to teacher, relatives, and friends. That's better, I think. Or which one is better? And even if our teacher, relatives, and friends, I think similar, right? Are now the object of aggression, all derives from factors, as we have explained. This we should perceive and curb our wrath or curb our anger. Directly it is that, curb our anger. We need to prevent or curb, right? Block or curb our anger or wrath. They use wrath, should be anger directly. So that as we have explained here, Shantideva said, as we have explained, what does it mean now? You see, as, actually not we, this is something like, yeah. As explained it before, that's how it's saying in Tibetan. As how explained it before. So what does it mean? This is the key point, okay? The English word here, as we have explained, they translated we. No need to we actually. As have explained it, right? When we say explained, it's past sentence, right? So what explained it? Now you should understand this, what he's saying. So the mainly, I told you already, these three categories. Patient of undertaking suffer, pain, patient of certainty in dharma, patient of not caring about harmers. That's what explained already before. And as well as also those another three situations, circumstances, like humiliation, insult, and rebuke when it occurs to oneself and how to deal with it. That's all explained it. Now here, this is just kind of like a talking based on a relatives. The idea is same. It is for us, for oneself, how to do, or when it occurs to relative, how to do the same thing, isn't it? Those are not different. Just the kind of like a subject is changing, right? Just the subject is changing. That's the very, you need to understand here, right? That as we have explained how they translated, this word is important here. What explained it? And then until now, whatever the method explained it, that's those method now you should utilize even during this kind of circumstances, situations. That's what it means. And then here it's saying, even though one's own teacher, one's own lama, someone's harming and someone's disturbing, you should not anger. Yeah. You see, that's now where we need to careful. When we reverence so much to someone, which is called guru, lama, and then someone causing problem to that our one's own teacher, then we get short temper. Short temper is not allowed. It's not saying you cannot do anything. Yes, there's many other things, but short temper, anger is not allowed. It is not saying that, oh, even though someone is disturbing and creating problems to your root teacher, lama, and you don't do anything, just ignore. That's not the meaning here. Main meaning point here, what Shantideva was saying, even to your root teacher, someone harming, creating problems, disturbing, you are not allowed to get anger towards that person who is creating problem. That's the main point here. And without anger, yes, if there's actually, yes, all the solution really doesn't require anger, but we assuming, that's very unfortunate. We assuming that anger must needed in order to deal with it. Anyway, I said this already so many times, actually. Anyway, so, but this is challenge, I know too. Yes, this is challenge, very challenge. And sometimes myself, I have challenge too. I think you maybe have the same challenge to not to get anger and at the same time deal with its situation. And sometimes, yes, we can do it. I can do it sometimes without emotion, but still I can talk, I can deal, I can conversate, and I can solve that problem. And sometimes I failed. So, but however, the bottom line is hating or angering towards that person is not allowed at all. That's what it means. Okay. Even Vajrayana practice, in a Vajrayana's instruction, anger is completely not allowed. This is not contradicting with the Vajrayana. There's a Vajrayana instructions that some people get misunderstand out of it. It's not allowing you to get anger. No, never. That has to understand. So even to the one teacher, you see, regard to this, I will tell you one interesting history. This is advice, right? Normally I'm saying whatever you want to judge, whether it is correct or not, as long as it is proved by history, advice, and our intelligence. When using all these three, using all these three even makes sense, that is judgeable. You can say this is right. And if it is not matching, wrong. That's how we can judge. I usually telling to my friends when they ask how to kind of like that, understand whether it is correct or not. How to understand. Sometimes it is very dilemma. Yes, we lost ourselves. Or what I am thinking, I don't know whether it is right or wrong. And what I am trying to doing, I don't know whether it is right or wrong. We have that dilemma. It is truth. So how to remove that dilemma? Then checking on this. Use intelligence, yes, but at the same time, we need to understand this, our intelligence is very limited. So don't completely rely on this. This is so dangerous sometimes. Based on this intelligence, and then you need to add additional those background or the support, those history. Look history. That what you want to do, someone who did it in the past, and then what he achieved it, and how he did it, or she did it, right? Look at history. And then also find the advice from those experienced person, the scholars, right? Try to get from their advice based on their experience. They're providing advice, right? Rely on those advice. But nowadays, unfortunately, many people unnecessarily writing books, which I don't really admire, because it covers. And then later, after 1 century, 2 century, those books advice becomes like a great advice. Then you will going to rely on it. Therefore, this writing too many books it's danger in a one way. And then it also covers, obscure to us to look into the original books, those great advice which are given by Buddha himself. And then those great realized master. We keep all those books on the site, and then we put in front very fresh new book. And then we completely rely on it. That's sometimes danger. But this is also needed sometime too. But we need to make balance, And not just completely rely. Yeah, we need to rely on the new fresh book, which is related with this modern world, which is related with our way of thinking. Yes, but all this point, whether it is matching or not, you need to bring it to that. You need to match to those genuine resources. If it is matching, then you can say, okay, this advice is right. Because I don't just rely on this book, but I also try to match this advice with the advice which is given by Buddha himself, or given by those great realized masters such as Nagarjunas, Purupadma Sambhavas, and those Asangas, Buddha Maitriyas. Those realized in India, many realized masters has scriptures, as well as in Tibet, like Kunchen Longchen Pas, Nepam Rinpoche's Rongzoms, according to the Nyingma tradition, and then according to the Kagyu tradition, like Marpas, Milarepas, those advice. You can match all this with whether it is relating, whether it is really connecting with their advice or not. And according to the Sajja, there's many realized. And according to the Geluk, Sajja like Sajja Pandita and so on, Geluk like a Jerimbuche and those. We forget all those resources, the very important scriptures. And then we look this very new, fresh book, and then completely relying on it. That's, I don't know. Anyway, so what I'm trying to tell you here is history, one interesting history related with this advice, that what Shanti was saying. even you cannot get anger towards the person who create problems to your teacher, your guru. And then, yeah, statues, images, stupas, absolutely not allowed. Generally, whoever, your relatives, friends, no allowed at all. That's what it means, right? But first we go with the related with this, the stupas, statues, images, and guru. Someone harms, it's not allowed to get anger. Related with it, I will going to tell you this one history, interesting history, that history of this Guru Padmasambhava, that when he was in India, at that moment, it is not considering really India. It's called Sahor. It is different than India. At that moment, India wasn't big as right now. So that Sahor, where you know that his concert, Mandarawa, Hacham Mandarawa, that where she lived, that the place called Sahor. And her father was the king of that region. And then there's a very long history between him and her, and then between her father and him. Blah, blah, so many history. And then now goes to the point. After he convinced not just her, but also he convinced his father, her father, and then whole this Sahur region people, he convinced. Okay, there's a long history how he convinced, but in short, he convinced. After he convinced all of them, and then put under the faith towards Dharma. And then one time, Mandarawa asked question to Guru Rinpoche, that she asked, she was consort, right? She asked, before she asked this question to him, and she offered talk, and she offered many things. And then after pay homage, prostrations, and offer, then she requested to let her ask some question. And then she asked this question. What she asked is how to differentiate between Sutra and Tantra. And then Guru Padmasambhava answered, differentiated by causal and result. Short, okay, I'm not explaining. That's how he answered to her. And I think she is also very sharp faculty. This is it, she needs answer. She understood what it means. And then she goes to next question. How to differentiate it between the conventional meaning and definitive meaning. Conventional meaning and definitive meaning. And then Guru Rinpoche said, can be differentiated by the lesser yahana and higher yahana. So as you go higher and higher, there are more definitive meaning. Okay, so I'm not explaining. So I'm exactly just saying how he answered to her. Okay, and then she got it. And then she jumps to next question. She asked, how to differentiate between relative truth and absolute truth? And then Guru Rinpoche's short answer is, whether it is changed or unchanged. That's how you can differentiate between these two. And then she got it. And then she goes to next question. How to differentiate between method and wisdom? And Guru Rinpoche goes, one is exist and another is non. And then she goes to next question. And how to differentiate between samsara and nirvana? And Guru Rinpoche's answer is awareness or ignorant. And then she's a little bit tricky. She's kind of like using a little bit trick to ask her own question. I think it seems like, and then last question, what she asks is, how many times I already took life in this cyclic existence? Can you tell me how many times I took life? Rebirth in cyclic existence. And then what Guru Rinpoche answered it? He didn't answer anything, and he said, put on the side. Let it be. There's no answer it. He didn't answer about this question. He said, put on the side, let it be. In one sense, yeah, there's not really. That's the answer, actually. Anyway, and then when she didn't got answer this, Guru Rinpoche didn't give answer about her life history. No, there's no life history of her. And then what she asks is, then she goes to the main question. And what is the previous life of my father? And then Guru Rinpoche start answering. You see, it is not something Guru Rinpoche cannot answer her life history. And then now Guru Rinpoche agreed to answer her father's life history. Anyway, so I will not going to explain. That's what he answered at that moment. And then when she raised the question about her father, the king, which is king, and how about my father's previous life? How does my father become like this king? And then Guru Rinpoche answered at that time. And then Guru Rinpoche, what he answered is, once upon a time that there was a region called Sulabi. That's the region name, Sulabi, just like Toronto, Sulabi. It is in India. And then within that region, there's a little town, or the kind of like a small house. There was a one Brahman. And then Brahman has a son whose name is called Rapsal. That Brahman's son's name is Rapsal. And then Rapsal, he became ordained by Shakyamuni. This is during the Shakyamuni Buddha time. When Shakyamuni Buddha was in Varanasi, you see Saranath right now is in India, right? Varanasi. When he was reciting in that area, and this Rapsal, the son of the Brahman, became monk, became fully ordained. And then he was the monk of this Bitamashiri monastery. In India during that time, there was two great university. Actually, there's some other two, but the mainly two great university. One is very well known, Nalanda. Everybody knows that. But the other one is also great university. From there, many scholars happened, revealed, discovered from there. Happened, which is called the Bitamashir monastery. Okay, so he was the monk in that monastery, Bitamashir, that son of the Brahman who called Rapsal. And then Bitamashir monastery always has this problem with the non-Buddhist debate and fight, just like today's, right? Somewhere. And at that time, religious is the very kind of like a main thing for conflict, argument, debate. And this Bitamashir monastery has to protect always four direction. There's a four gate in the four direction, and then always has to protect not to let those non-Buddhists let enter into to fight and destroy and kill. They need to guard. And they change the guard every month. And then the Rapsal, 1 month, he was appointed to guard one particular gate of any of the 1-4 directions gate. He was bodyguard. He was guard in that gate, right? He was guard in that gate. And during his time, when he was guide on that gate, from that exact gate, those non-Buddhist foe came to do something to this monastery, Bittamashiritsula. Nowadays, Bittamashiritsula completely not there, right? Even many people doesn't know this. Nalanda become a little bit well known. And then what happened when the foe came? The non-Buddhist enemy came, and then he has to guard and protect in order to protect this monastery and then the monk inside. He fought with them. He fought with them. And then he killed many of those. That time he fight. Overnight, they fight. And when in a conflict, they kill. And he killed many those non-Buddhist foe. And then he ran away. He escaped. That Rapsal, he was escaped. And then he was reborn in a lower and in a higher few times. And then one time he was reborn in a one mother who is already passed away. Mother was passed away already while he's in a womb. At that time, not he. That Rapsal's his continuous life. And then that lady, that baby girl, right? That baby girl, interesting history here is when Guru Rinpoche was doing the retreat and call this Chinal ground, cemetery, Silvatsau. When he was there, that body of the mother was sent it to that cemetery. And then when they cut this dead body of the mother, this baby girl is revealed from the womb, life. And then Guru Rinpoche took that baby girl. And there are many other people too. At that time, Guru Rinpoche and those people have a little conflict. Okay, so now we are going to the side topic. So we have to get back to the point. And there are little conflict at that moment. And then, however, that baby girl already has a connection at that time with him. And then this, however, mother is passed away. This baby girl will not going to be survive long. And then she didn't survive. And then after this baby girl passed away, this is your father right now. The king, your father. That Guru Rinpoche is telling to Hajam Mandarao about her father's history, right? Your father was that baby girl. And that baby girl was reborn higher and lower certain times, way before he was a bhikshu in Varanasi. He became monk under Shakyamuni Buddha and he resided in Bittamashir monastery. At that time, he fought with them and he killed them. Therefore, he have both this merit and negative karma. He have merit because he protect monastery and the monk. He have negative karma because he killed them. And both these are producing result in a mixed way to him. Therefore, sometimes he fall low and sometimes high, and then baby girl, and now to this father. Look, why I am telling you this history now. Advice is already given by Shantideva. They're saying, regardless, even though your enemy destroying your those religious things, substance, and even to your guru, completely not allowed to get anger, right? Advice is there. And now this advice is related with this history. You see, even for the monastery, for the monk, he shouldn't get anger. He shouldn't get anger, right? But somehow she lost his temper. He lost her temper. He got anger and fight and then killed him. You see, actually he did for the monastery and for the monk. That was his purpose. Otherwise, he doesn't have to fight with them. See now, his story. Now, these things, you see, that's why I told you earlier, our intelligence is very limited. So these things cannot be reached by our intelligence now. If you make decision based on your intelligence, you will going to be failed. So these kind of things, how to judge, how to then based on this advice and history, then it tells, oh yes, oh, regardless, anger is not allowed. We can understand through this history and this advice. But if we don't rely on this type of history and then this type of advice, if we just use our intelligence, then we human goes, it's okay to get anger, isn't it? That's what I'm saying. This sometimes our intelligence is very limited. So if you just make completely decision based on an intelligence, then it fails. It fails in many situations. Not always failed, but it fails in many situations. And especially like this kind of situations, oh, absolutely fail. If based on our intelligence, we think, yeah, it's okay to get anger because he destroyed my statue, because he destroyed my temple, because he destroyed my, I don't know, Buddha's image, who I respect so much. He neglecting them. He is scorning these things, which I think very valuable. It is unacceptable. We will going to say it, isn't it? And then now, even we are not allowed today to get anger towards those person who harms our teacher or those offerable objects. Then this relatives, friends goes without saying, isn't it? These friends, relatives, compare with them, they are not more precious than them, right? Even who is destroying those you are very precious one, you are not allowed to get anger. Then friend, relative, absolutely no allowed. Anyway, so this is the one main, this is important. And then later how he's saying that the ngami tsuji kendale gyurwar thongne chowa dos need to reverse this anger by seeing and understanding the how we are not allowed to get anger no matter what, as I explained already all those methods till now, right? He explained many things, right? So he's saying, reverse your anger with the seeing and understanding the all the methods how it is not allowed to get anger, as explained before. What is explained before? I already told you, right? That's the one. Okay, so this is the very one method that it is not different method though. It is just summarizing, right? It is just summarizing. Even those four circumstances, which is pain, humiliation, insult, and rebuke, when those four circumstances occur to your relatives, and you should contemplate, concern, think about those, how you apply when those occur to yourself, how to deal with this anger. And same method you should apply in these situations too. That's what it means. And then the next one. And then the next one is Luchen Namla Semyo Dang Semi Nigi Neshena Semyo Chi de Karte Kun Dewe Neba Soberjis. That's the one stanza, another one skills or the method. How they translate it. Beings suffer injury alike from lifeless things as well as living beings. So why be angry only with the latter? Question mark. Rather, let us simply bear with harm. That's how they translate it, right? So let me explain here. Luchen Namlas, to the sentient beings, normally we getting harmed by both who has a mind, which means the beings, and then who doesn't have a mind, which means the non-beings, which means those, including all those natural disasters. So natural disaster, they don't have mind, right? They don't have conscious. But yeah, this is really truth. Normally, we or our relatives getting harmed, disturbed, problem from both, not only from human being, but also not from lifeless things. Lifeless things such as the water, wind, those natural disasters. Tornado, right? Wind, that's part of wind, right? Fire. This year, so many obvious those lifeless things, how lifeless things harms us. Fire problem is there, water problem is there, wind problem is there, earth problem is there. Now this very invisible COVID problem is here. Look, this is also lifeless things problem, isn't it? This is lifeless things problem. Lifeless things also creating difficult problem to oneself and to my relatives. Here based talking on relatives, right? Let's say to our relatives, created problem from both lifeless things and no one, I don't know, maybe someone getting anger to COVID, but I didn't get anger to COVID at all. So maybe there's no point for me to get anger towards COVID, right? COVID-19. So normally we don't get anger towards those lifeless things such as the COVID and those. But there are some people, yes, maybe they're getting anger towards those. But what Shantideva was saying from this stanza is, actually, the fact is towards our relatives getting disturbed and harmed and create problems by both, not only from beings, but also from lifeless things. If that the case, then why you specific pulling out of these two harm, these beings particular? Why are you pulling out specific? If you want to get anger both then. If you think towards that lifeless things, it's not the proper to get anger, then it's same. You shouldn't get anger to those beings too, beings either. That's what it means. Therefore, and when someone creates any kind of this forced circumstances towards your relatives, be patient and take it that how you normally taking it when those lifeless things harms them. Does it make sense now? What he really saying is that how we have no choice rather than accept actually, but it's good that we are accepting that one, right? Recently, this COVID-19 also killed a lot of our relatives too. And then we just pray. We don't really try to take revenge to COVID-19, right? And likewise, fire in Australia, water. Nobody gets anger towards water and fires, right? We're just taking it, isn't it? We think, oh, this is natural disaster. Okay, fine. But when this kind of difficult problem created by beings, then, oh, I have to get rid of this. That's what Shantideva mean here. Why are you specifically pulling out this being? The fact your relatives get harmed by both, not only from beings. And why don't you just apply patience as how you apply patience when this lifeless things harms to your relatives? This is what it means. Another idea, okay? As I always saying, it is not necessarily all this idea is suitable for you, okay? Whichever idea is suitable for you. Bottom line is anger is not allowed. That's the main goal of giving all these options. As I saying always, since this is scriptures kind of like provides various way, various method. And then among those various method, the fact to individual, one method is enough. And this is another idea to think in this way and then be patient. And then the next one, lala mombe nyebache, lala monde trejurnas. Dela könme kangisha, köndanche de kangshigin. Now here, they were giving another method, another idea to think to control your anger, which is some do evil things because of ignorance, and then at the same time, some respond with the anger by being ignorant. Okay? And then which of them is faultless in such acts? Question mark. Now this raising question. To whom shall error be ascribed? Isn't it interesting? How he can get that kind of logic? This is not difficult to understand, right? It is very easy to understand. Yeah, it is very interesting logic. He's kind of like a saying, both is mistake. The enemy who created problem to your relative out of ignorance, that mistake. And then on the other hand, you getting anger towards your enemy because of he created problem to your relative, that is also another mistake. So same, both are mistake. That's what he mean from this stanza. So think in this way, which we can say faultless and which we can say it is fault. Both are fault. Think this way and then remove this anger. That's another one skill. And then the next one. So this idea is already provided. Now this is kind of like a repeating. This is another the 68th stanza is another one idea, which is already he provided before. It is not new. That what he is saying is, instead, why did they act in times gone by that they are now so harmed at others' hands? Since everything depends on karma, why should I be angry at such things? So now, based on a thinking about karma, right? So my relative got all this problem because my relative created this bad karma for themselves to experience it. Thinking in this way and then reducing your emotion, anger towards the enemy who creating problems to your relatives. Simple, isn't it? So until now here, this 4 different way of thinking to deal with the anger. When those 4 circumstances occur to one's relatives, towards one's relatives, right? When any of those 4 circumstances occur to your relatives, and this is how you should think. He provided 4 different things of think, how to think, right? And then deal with the anger, emotion. Okay, maybe we just stop here today. Okay, maybe finish this. Yeah, maybe go a little bit further. So next one, tetar thone chine kyang thamche pensun chamsemsu gyurwa tetar dagini sonam dala jimde chas. This I see, and therefore come what may, I will hold fast to the virtuous path and foster in the hearts of all an attitude of mutual love. This I see, and therefore tetarthones, that so far Shantideva provided 4 different ways to think when this happens to your relatives and then deal with your anger, right? And tetarthones means see it in this way. See it in this way means those 4 ways. See it in this way, and then regardless, chinne kyang means regardless. This is what it means, chinne kyang. I think that's why sometimes this translation, I don't know, make it a little lighter, isn't it? Chinne kyang, the chinne kyang word is regardless, no matter what. That's what it's talking about. Chinne kyang. In Tibetan, right? Tetarthone chinne kyang. See it in this way and then regardless. It is not saying regardless without seeing anything. It is not saying regardless with the blindly faith. It is not saying regardless with the no matter what, with the kind of like a ignorant, blind. It is saying see it in this way and regardless. Regardless, what we need to do, put our anger towards side, to the side. To the side means remove, right? Put your anger to the side. See it in this way, and then regardless, what we need to do is put our anger on the side. And then put effort. All the beings, including the enemies who is harming your relatives, all. Pensin chamsimsu, that's each other. All each other have a sense of loving kindness. Think this way, and regardless, put your anger on the side, and then all each other needs to have some sense of loving kindness. And in order to make it to have this loving kindness towards each other, put your effort. That's what it's saying. That I will going to put effort. I will going to ring, right? Ring, ring, W-R-I-N-G, as we talked before. Put effort or put ring means like a strongly. Put effort to generate the sense of loving kindness rather than anger. Sonam dala dimdecha, and able to generating loving kindness in this kind of situation is also accumulating lots of merit, right? So the merit, sonam, you should put effort to transform it into the meritorious activity. That's what it means. And then why we need to do in this way. And then Shantideva giving some reason with the example. Next. Perna kimsik gyurbi me kimshen shikdu soneni zaso kanla chejeba deni chunde dorwains. Deshin kanla sem chagna shedang meni chegyurba sonam chokbar tsikbar tobai deni tei mela dors. The first stanza, which means the 70 stanza is example and 71 is meaning. Why we should put effort to transform it into the meritorious activity. by transforming into loving kindness rather than anger. It is because it is example, the 70th stanza. Let me read this translation. Now, when a building is ablaze and flames leap out from house to house, the wise course is to take the fleeing away. Take and fling away the straw and anything that spread the fire. That's example. And the meaning is, and so in fear that merit might be all consumed, we should act once, cast far away our mind attachment, tinder for the fiery flames of hate. Fiery? Fury flames of hate. Hate. Not the head though. Hated, hate. Yeah. Okay, so let me explain what does it mean here. The example is easy to understand, right? When fire, kind of like when fire is, what do you call it? Leaped out from house to house, right? Which means one house is already burnt, right? One house is already burnt. Now this fire is moving to house to another house. When that kind of situation happens, the wise one, what we're going to do is prevent the next one, isn't it? Then whatever the substance which catch the fire, they will going to remove that immediately in order not to spread it out, right? In the same way, in the same way that out of our attachment towards our relatives, and then this fire of anger, it's spreading. So when that anger about to happen, you must understand this anger will going to burn whole your merits, whatever you have. With that kind of suspect and doubt, and this anger, immediately you should remove it. Even though you have attachment is there, still better to remove anger, isn't it? Even though one house is burned already, but better to protect the other house. Don't let it burn whole. Whole came, right? You just don't say that, oh, one house is burned already, now forget it. If you say that, that's fool. That's not wise. Likewise, I have already so much love and attached to my relatives. So now let it be, let me anger towards those enemy who creates problem to my relatives. That's not wise. That's what it means. That's not wise way of thinking. And likewise, seji mishik lakche te kalte tharna chimale. Kalte mi dunga chi nyalwa thana chimale. And so, okay, so I think we should stop here. The time is gone, so we have only a little bit then more than 5 minutes. We stopped here in stanza 71. Okay, we will continue. Next week we have Nyune retreat, so we're going to be the next week and from stanza 72. Okay, so if you have question, raise, and then we can discuss. And anyone have a question, just the chat, and then I will unmute you. No question? No question is always good. Then you don't have doubt. If you have a question typed, I have question, then I can unmute you. Okay, then we dedicate merit of this activity. Yeah, everyone. They have this dedication book. Zanam de thamje zibani thamne ni be danam thamje ne sheganaj walan to buy sibin solen doan dolvarasho jambal jidara kembanda kundur zambu te ante shinde te da kun jesu nalop chin gewan de da thamje rabdo Gewan di shewo Sanam yeshe tsozo ne Sanam yeshe le jonghe Tamba kunyin tobarashu Sanje kusum nyebe chenlam dan Chunye minjur dembe chenlam dan Genden mechen dembe chenlam ki Jidara ngowa melam dobarshu. Read in English. By this beneficial activity, may I obtain omniscience, and having vanquished the harmful enemy, greed, anger, delusion, may I liberate all being tossed about helplessly by the waves of birth, aging, illness, and death in the ocean of becoming, by conforming to the knowledges of courageous Venjushiri, Panjambalyam, and in the same way as Samandabhatra, Kundusambo, and following their example, I dedicate perfectly all this virtue. By this virtue, may all being perfectly achieve the accumulation of merit, sonam, and wisdom, yeshe, and may they thereafter obtain the two holy bodies which result from this two accumulation. By the blessing of the Buddha, Sanje, who obtained the three bodies, by the blessing of the immutable truth of the Dharmata, Shuni, by the blessing of the infallible aspirations of the Sangha, Yendin, may this prayer of dedication be accomplished just as it is. Thank you. Have a good day.